And welcome to another edition of Scott Wheeler's Airplay. This is episode number 26, airing right now on Facebook Live at Peoria Life's Facebook portal. And then later today, you can catch it on YouTube, Peoria TV, i3 Broadband, Channel 17, and a whole host of other places. Airplay is where we go behind the scenes to talk to radio and TV personalities that you listen to or watch every day in the Peoria area. My name is Scott Wheeler from Super Hits WIRL, and today my guest has a voice you will never forget and does a lot of other stuff for the station he works at, 95.5 WGLO. Welcome to Airplay, Tim Ylinen.
Thank you, Scott. Nice to be here.
It's great to have you here. So far, the tallest guest we've had on Airplay so far. So I'm 6 feet tall. Wow. How tall are you?
6'5".
Oh, did you play basketball?
I did not. They tried to get me to play,
Yeah.
but I told them, you don't want me to play. It's not going to work out well for you.
Big, tall dork, huh?
That's exactly what I was. Yep. I didn't go the sports route. I went the whole tech route. So,
Yeah. So where are you from?
Originally from the Quad Cities.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born up in Moline and lived there until I was about 15. Mm-hmm. My dad worked for Caterpillar.
Okay.
And so...
Ooh, in John Deere country?
In John Deere country, yes. There's lots of green everywhere. But he worked up there, and then they ended up closing that plant down, and that kind of gave him the, find a new job or, move your family. And so that's how I ended up in Peoria in 1988. So.
Okay. So did you, at a young age, do any radio in the Quad Cities?
No. Since I was 15 when I left there, did a lot of radio listening, though.
Yeah, I bet.
But as far as like doing radio, no, I never did that. But was kind of involved in, I got involved in CBs and ham radio, that kind of stuff, and that really drove my interest in radio.
So you get to Peoria, and then what? You do college or get right into radio or whatever?
No, I was, I came down here as a sophomore, so I finished up my 3 high school years at Richwoods.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to ICC for broadcasting. Then I got my first job in radio. Okay. And that was at WPEO.
Many people have started. Ed Hammond, who recently retired from radio here in Peoria, started at WPEO.
It was a great place to work. Good people.
Yeah, get to do a little bit of everything.
I tell you, that place, I learned how to back time, how to cue things up. I mean, it was an immense wealth of information there because it was great. I mean, it was awesome. I learned the satellite stuff, and everything had to be spot on time. Yep. And so I perfected that skill there, and it was awesome. It was really good.
So when did you know that you wanted to do radio? In other words, you obviously went to ICC to study it. Did you get the bug slightly before that from all this listening you did to radio in the Quad Cities?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. So when I was even in the Quad Cities and just a young teenager and whatnot, I'd had many of those Mr. microphones from Radio Shack.
Yes.
And I would take those. I had multiple ones, and I would take the mic element out of a couple of them, and I would wire them all together, and I'd use coat hangers for the mic stands. And I had a little radio station in my room there in Iowa.
That is awesome.
Yep, and I'd broadcast it out to the neighborhood, the kids. And I'd take radios and set it out on the yard and tell them, hey, listen to this, because I'm on the radio. So yes, it was early on. I really got the bug for it.
So 2 things I hear about you all the time. You're one of the nicest people in the world. I would agree with that. So your reputation is solid.
That's good. I was hoping it would stay intact. No.
And the other thing is that voice. You really do have the radio voice. Have you, obviously, I don't think you came out of the womb with it. At some point, it probably
developed somewhere down the line, yeah.
But did you get the comment after your voice changed? Man, you ought to do radio. You ought to do something with your voice.
People did say that, yeah. And so growing up, or when I moved to Peoria, of course, I listened to KZ93, and of course Scott Wheeler on KZ, and Gary Olson and all those guys, and you can just tell. You can tell. When you know that voice. It's amazing, and I've been to different places like stores or whatnot, where I just say thank you or something like that, and she's like, "You're on the radio, aren't you?" And it amazes me though, but I understand how that can happen because certain voices you listen to all the time, you just really get to know them. But yeah, I enjoy it, and I think that's just what I was supposed to do.
So often when people have a really nice professional voice like yours, you get hired to do what we call voice work, which is maybe airing commercials or recording commercials or imaging for other radio and television stations. Do you do any of that outside of your announcer work at WGLO?
I do, and I have done it, over the past and whatnot. So yeah, I used to do liners, for a station down in Owensboro, Kentucky, and a couple other ones across the country. But I do a lot of commercials, just like stuff for different clients and whatnot that just need a couple spots cut here and there. Don't do it as much as I'd like to, just time constraints. But
sure.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, as long as those pipes stay healthy, I think you got a future there, no matter what else happens.
Right.
So, WPEO, where you started in Peoria, then what? Where'd you go after that?
So after that, I worked there for about a year, and then I got an opportunity to go to Rock 106, WWCT.
I didn't know that.
So I worked there. And I worked there for about 3 years, from 92 to about 95 or so. So of course, I did overnights, and that was really cool. And of course, at that time, Rock 106 was the powerhouse.
Absolutely, great move for you.
It was really a lot of fun. And it was a great opportunity. So so I was able to took advantage of it, and was just super excited to be there on that station. So and spent 3 years there. Got to meet all the celebs in town at the time, that were on that station, and it was a lot of fun.
So from there to the WGLO group after CT?
Yeah, so I after leaving CT, I didn't get back into radio, so I was out of radio for a little while, and just doing some weird, little odd jobs here and there and whatnot, and actually,
like what? It's always interesting to me when people are out of radio for a little time, what else they do, because if that happened to me, I would be like, there's nothing else I can do.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't very good at it. I worked at K's Merchandise.
Did you really?
Yes, I did, which is no longer around. But I did that. I was a cashier there for a while, and then I did some of the stuff in the back, just stocking shelves.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But while that downtime was going on, I didn't really know what, I'd like to get back into radio, but I didn't know if that was going to happen. I didn't know at the time, I was pretty young. But literally, there was a program director at WGLO at the time, and I forget his name, but he heard that I'd left CT and wanted to get a hold of me and didn't know how. So I ended up getting a postcard mailed to my parents' house from this guy saying, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, at PD at the WGLO. He said, call me. And so I gave him a call and I talked to him, and I went in for my first interview with him, and everything worked out good. He says, "Hey, we'll put you on nights for, overnights for a couple of times, see how it goes, and then we'll go from there." I said, "Okay, well, it's gonna be a part-time thing, just gonna do it." So then after doing a couple of shifts, I had another meeting with him, and he goes, "Okay." He says, "I got to tell you something." He says, "I'm leaving." He says, I'm moving on. I'm going to go do talk radio." And he goes, "You're my new PD, and
oh my gosh,
and you're moving into afternoons."
That happens more often than we'd think, but good for you.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. And so, but I only known him it was about 2 weeks that I totally forget his name, but he moved on to do some talk radio, and I enjoyed that. But that's how all that happened. It was kind of weird. So
yeah, and you have been with WGLO or its associated stations for what, 95 then? So that's like 24 years.
Too long.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been a long time. Yeah, since November of '95 is when I got hired on over there.
So there have been a number of different owners of those stations over the years, and some of the stations have changed as those ownerships have changed. What were some of the other stations besides WGLO that you were a part of?
We launched 99X back in the day when it was on 99.9.
Right.
So That one I used to do nights on there, just I was doing afternoons on GLO and voice tracking nights on that station. And then of course we had WFYR, which back then it was Fire 97.3.
Sure.
So I did nights on that one for a little while too,
Right.
in addition to GLO, and of course we have an AM station, WVEL, and of course over the years we had numerous stations over there. 101.1, which was the old was it
River.
the River, yes.
Yeah,
And then of course 98.5, the Party. We had that for a while.
Right.
So a lot of stations coming and going. A lot of neat stuff.
Well, look how multi-versed you are, how multifaceted you are in all these different stations. And that kind of leads me to my next question. By the way, we're talking with Tim Ylinen from 95.5 WGLO. You do noon to 3, correct?
Yes,
on the
noon to
station?
3, yes.
And what leads me to my next question is you do a whole bunch of other stuff at that radio station group in the engineering realm. So how did that come about? Because again, you don't. I can introduce a record, but you don't want me anywhere near a transmitter.
no screwdrivers poking things around in there.
Just reboot.
Scott, go fix that. Well, really, I've always had a love and attraction to electronics and things like that.
Mr. Microphone in the backyard.
Pulling that thing apart, rewiring it, like a Tim Allen thing, but more on the electronic side. So really, my GM many GMs ago, was a real good guy, and he kind of let me get into that more with the station, and working with our chief engineer, which I've worked with him for 24 years. He's been there longer than I have, and he's helped him out a lot. He's taught me a lot over the years. And so just that desire kind of, formed into, you want to do this and you can do this and this. And so, it just ended up being to where, now, full on.
You're a tinkerer,
IT and everything. Yeah, you name it. It comes my way usually, something if it's it needs fixed, or especially if it's in the IT world, I take care of a lot of that.
And like so many other businesses, the IT world or the computer world kind of drives now the infrastructure of any business, banking, insurance, radio, you name it, so that computer knowledge is, that trickles down to even people on the air. You got to know your way around the computer. Where I struggle, and this is where I think you and I are different, is it's not intuitive to me. You show me step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, I can do it because I memorize it. But I don't get why I'm doing it. You, on the other hand, understand probably what step 1 has to do with step 2 and 3 and 4 and how it all fits together, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely on a lot of things. But, as things progress in, the world of technology, you're constantly teaching yourself, and figuring things out, and, well, why does that do that,
Yeah.
And so anymore, a lot of times I'll have to figure it out, all the new stuff. But you're right, computers, that whole technology in radio, as is very important now. All the streaming online that everybody's doing now, and absolutely, to have that knowledge in radio is very, very valuable.
I'm always afraid I'm going to set off nuclear weapons. It just
button
scares
for
me.
that,
It just really, if I do this, what happens?
It's a big red one. It says, do not touch. But yeah, exactly. But there's so many, you walk into where we have it at the radio station there, we've got 5 stations there, and they designed the building really nice. There's a whole wall of just windows, where you can see all the cool engineering stuff and all the lights and blinking. So when you look at that, it's a little daunting. You're like, holy cow. But, it's amazing that I walk in there sometimes. I'm like, well, yeah. If I look at somebody else's station, it is daunting. I'm like, I didn't build that. I don't know what all that does, but I know what this does.
What does this do? So over the 24 years, or even longer than that you've been doing this, can you think maybe a couple of examples of the most memorable thing you've been involved with in radio, be it a charitable event or a contest that was amazing, or give me a couple.
We are involved in St. Jude a lot there, and of course that is really amazing, and what they do, and every year we're involved in the St. Jude Dream Home and helping out the St. Jude. We've got people in our building, other DJs that actually do the runs and things like that. So it's a big part of what we like to do there. And so that is definitely big, that is really probably one of the big things. I would say that other contests, where giving away big things. It's always cool to see somebody win something that they really want. We've given away motorcycles and Harleys and other big stuff. And when you get to something like that and somebody wins that, it's pretty amazing to see the reaction and just their awe and the happiness that they get. I really enjoy that, being a part of those types of things where we can get out in the community and do something fun for somebody.
Yeah, and I think we get so used to those things as radio people, we don't realize that even a pair of concert tickets or backstage passes is something we do all the time. I mean, when's the last time you paid for a concert ticket? But for a winner to get free tickets and a chance to meet an artist, that's an experience that they won't ever forget.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah, you see somebody that meets somebody for the first time that they've loved forever, and it is awesome to see that. Yeah, it just kind of brings a warm feeling. You're like, hey man, this is great. I want to do this again.
Yeah. So, okay, on the other side of that coin, can you remember anything that just didn't go quite right? An embarrassing moment either on the air or with your engineering background where you took 5 stations off the air accidentally or anything like that? On what I that
did,
you can admit here on live TV.
I will just say I was this was at CT back in the day, and it was doing overnights, and so I had back then we played CDs. You were pull the CD out and throw it in. Now of course everything's on computer. But what happened was something had happened with one of the CD players, and I was going from one CD to another, one song to another, and it didn't work and it stopped. Well, I had my headphones on still because I just got done doing a break. My mic was still on.
Oh, here we go.
And of course, I let out something that was not appropriate for the air at that time at all, or any time. And after that happened, all the phones lit. People wanting to tell you,
Nobody calls at 2 a.m. What's going on?
I know, they're lit. You answer a couple of them, and the classic thing is, do you know what you just said in the radio? It's like, yeah, I just know what I said in the radio. My fault, my problem. So I ended up hitting the busy button, because you can hit, remember the busy button. It busies all the lines out.
I know.
I did that I left it on that way for 2 hours. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't believe I had done that. So yeah, that was pretty. I was pretty embarrassed, mortified about that one.
Well, you're in a very exclusive club there, believe me. So, if I grabbed your phone and listened to your music library, is it all classic rock, or do you have other favorite kinds of music?
I love classic rock. I love AC/DC. What's one band I've never had a chance to see, and would always wanted to, No, I love all classic rock. Def Leppard's a big band I enjoy, but I do like some other stuff too. I grew up on country. When I was younger, I loved the old '80s country. I love it. I love listening to Hank Williams Jr. and Southern Pacific and all that old stuff. And then I'm really into like Skillet and Newsboys and Toby Mac, and I love all that Christian rock stuff. So I have a wide variety of things I like, but so you'd probably hear a little bit of all that on my phone.
Okay, tell me about your family.
I'm married for going on this November, be 21 years.
Good for you.
Yep, got 3 kids, 1 daughter and 2 boys, and a cat and a dog. But so it's been great. We've been married. My wife Robin has been very, very supportive and of all the time away, remotes and things like that. 2
in the morning, the station's off the air.
Yes, those. Yeah, where she the phone's next to her bed, so when it rings, she picks it up and just hands it over to me. It's the station.
Radio wives are very special, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So, but family is wonderful. My 3 kids, Samantha, Jaden, and Micah, they're wonderful. So, yeah, we have a great thing going.
That's wonderful. Tim Ylinen, who is the voice on 95.5 WGLO, noon to 3 every day. He's been in the Peoria market for a long, long time. And believe me, when you hear him in the grocery store, you'll know it's him. An amazing voice and an amazing talent, my guest today on Scott Wheeler's Airplay. Remember, you can see this episode and future and past episodes, PeoriaLife.com. Facebook, that would be Peoria Life's Facebook page, Peoria Life's YouTube channel. And you can see these episodes on Peoria TV, channel 17, on the i3 broadband system. If you're on the go, you can also listen on Apple Podcasts. We'll have another great guest next week, I believe. Former anchors Shelley Dankoff and Amy Paul will both be here to join me on Scott Wheeler's Airplay. Until then, have a great day.
PeoriaLife.com